It began peacefully on June the 9th with a march against a bill for an extradition deal with China. And the protest movement might well have ended then if Hong Kong's chief executive Carrie Lam had heeded their demand.
Absolutely. If our demand had succeeded with the withdrawal of the bill to safeguard our freedom, nothing would have happened.
Benson Ho never saw himself as a frontline activist, but that's what he's become. He's been arrested and forced to leave home.
I told my dad we're going out to fight for the rights we deserve. We had a big fight, and after that he said, move out. Move out if you don't want to stay at home anymore.
Benson was also there when protesters smashed their way into the heart of Hong Kong's government, the debating chamber of the Legislative Assembly. Many wearing the hard hats and face masks that have become symbols of this leaderless movement. As the long, hot summer rolled on, the air became more toxic. It was now a colour war, men in white chasing and beating those in black, the colour of the protest movement.
White terror, I say it again, white terror.
But terrorism aided by foreign hands is how Beijing defined it, after its liaison office in Hong Kong was attacked and defaced. Mainland-owned businesses were also targeted, as were transport links. Subway stations were vandalised and forced to shut. Tunnels were closed. And thousands of flights cancelled after protesters occupied the International Airport Arrivals Lounge. Chinese leaders have repeatedly warned they would send in the People's Liberation Army to restore order. Yet that still hasn't happened.
They fear that if they would mobilize the People's Liberation Army garrison in Hong Kong, then China will lose face, because after 22 years of Chinese rule, they have not won hearts and minds in Hong Kong.
Police figures reflect a society tearing itself apart. At least 2 deaths, more than 10,000 tear gas canisters fired, and almost 6,000 arrests. More fatalities seem possible after students turned their university campus into a fortress, the fiery standoff with police becoming a defining moment of the unrest. In spite of the violence, local elections went ahead, with voters sending a clear message of support to those agitating for greater democracy. A few days later, there was another setback for China's leaders. US President Donald Trump signed into law a bill aimed at protecting human rights in Hong Kong and punishing those deemed responsible for suppressing them. Many of the protesters I've spoken to during the past few months concede that deep down they know they're not going to win, but they also stress that their movement represents the best and perhaps last opportunity to achieve more democracy. Adrian Brown, Al Jazeera, Hong Kong.